Toronto Maple Leafs general manager Brad Treliving speaks out in a recent interview on how the Leafs might not be done making moves yet ahead of training camp. I'm going to get into this quote, possible moves the Leafs may be looking at, and more later on this episode. Before we start, I just want to give a huge shout out to the 4,200 and 3 of you guys that are subscribed. I just want to give a huge shout out, and if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button. We'll be here all off season in the next season, giving you updates from around the league, and you'll never want to miss another episode. But before we get into the first topic today, I want to give a huge shout out on today's sponsor, which is Vume, and I'll let Casey just take it away.
Are you trying to kick a bad habit to the curb? You need to check out Fume. Fume is an award-winning flavored air device, and the flavored air category is quickly becoming the alternative to vaping and smoking. If vapor was compared to sticky soda, Fume cores are closer to herbal teas. Fume has lots of delicious flavors to choose from crisp mint to cinnamon hearts. They have a flavor for you. With flavored air, you can satisfy your oral fixation through a passive diffusion system that utilizes no electronics, no vapor, and no combustion. Fume has been backed by many doctors within the United States, and they continue to invest into third-party studies to ensure the safety of their products. My favorite thing about Fume is their delicious flavor cores. You can use them anywhere, at work, at home, or just on the go. Fume also is made to fidget with through its magnets, snaps, and clicks to just calm your anxiety. Fume has served over 300,000 customers, and you can be their next success story. For a limited time, you can use my code DIGEST to get your free topper accessory. It's the perfect accessory to your Fume device. Slip it onto the mouthpiece for a softer, warmer feel. It's chewable for those who love to fidget, and it's reusable. Head to tryfume.com. That's tryfum.com to get this exclusive offer by using my code DIGEST to get your free topper accessory with the purchase of a journey pack. And once again, a huge thank you to Fume for sponsoring this video.
Once again, I want to give a huge shout out to Vume for sponsoring this video, but with that, let's hop straight into the first topic today, which is more moves incoming. So during a recent interview with TSN Overdrive, we've seen Brad Treliving speak out on a lot of things that do with the Toronto Maple Leafs, notable thing being making more moves before training camp. Now we've seen Brad Treliving say, to me, we still got 5 weeks or so till camp, and we're not set yet. We continue to look at ways to make our team better. Now this was Treliving responding to them just asking how the roster construction, what's his thoughts on the team, and Brad Treliving knows there's still more moves yet to be made on this Toronto team. Before we dive into a couple obvious names, we're going to look at the rest of this quote as well. Obviously, we've seen Brad Treliving go out and reshape the defense, bringing in guys like Chris Tanev, OEL, and the whole Hockenpah situation to really fill out this team's defense, but it left a sour taste in a lot of fans' mouths where he didn't really touch the forward group. Now we see Brad Treliving continue on and say, I said at the end of the year, we're going to look at everything. Sometimes people fall in love with the idea of let's make a big change just to make a big change. At the end of the day, you can go out, make big changes. If you're not making your team better, to me, it doesn't make sense to just make a change just to stand up and say, look at it. We made this big change. Now, obviously, Brad knows going out, making a massive change just for the sake of doing it is not something he wants to do with his team. Obviously, the team has underachieved, underperformed in every aspect when going into the playoffs. They're a team that hasn't won a President's Trophy, a team that looks outstanding in the regular season. Going into the playoffs, they look like a completely different team, and it almost looks like a team that shouldn't be in the playoffs for a lot of the seasons. Obviously, the most notable win recently was against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and then they continue on to lose to the Florida Panthers in round 2. We've seen them lose yet again to the Boston Bruins last season, so Brad Treliving isn't really happy with how this group's looking, and he wants to continue to try to improve it. Now, the first thing to look at with this Toronto team is they still do have cap space. The projected cap space for this team going into next season is $1,275,333. Obviously, looking at the projected cap space, people are saying, why does it matter about the $333? But the biggest thing is Brandon Pridham is going to be a wizard with the cap once again, and that $333 might come in handy and could be the deal breaker on picking up a veteran winger or veteran center that might tip the tide for the Leafs going into the playoffs. Now, obviously, you can see that they have a tiny bit of projected cap space. This is not not including the Hakanpää contract, which no one understands or really fully knows what is happening with that yet. You can see that with the cap space, they are under the 88 million limit, and they do have a bit of room. So the Leafs do have wiggle room to make a trade or to make another signing. Now, when looking at this Leafs team, obviously the forwards is the first thing that a lot of people aren't happy with. This is the projected lines from Daily Faceoff, so this is not lines that I put out. This is not what I predict the lines to look like either. But with this, they have Matthew Nyes, Austin Matthews, and Mitch Marner on the top line. You can see Bobby McMahon, John Tavares, and William Nylander anchoring the second line. Pontus Holmberg, Max Domi, and Kalle Järnkrok on the third line. Now, I do want to stop on this third line for a minute where I say I don't know if this third line is 100% going to work. I'm not totally in love with this third line. Obviously, you have the possibility of a guy like Easton Cowan or Fraser Minton to come in and fill out some of the depth on this third line. But having a guy like Pontus Holmberg, which I don't want anyone to think I don't like Pontus. I think Pontus is an incredible player, and I think he has a lot of room to grow, and he can be an awesome contributor for this Toronto Maple Leafs team. But Pontus Holmberg coming in, being forced to really be a scorer on this line, does make it a little scary. Max Domi, an elite playmaker, works perfectly here. I thought he played awesome, and I almost thought he played his best part of the season playing alongside Austin Matthews on the top line. Then a guy like Kalle Järnkrok, who hasn't really eclipsed more than 25 goals in his career. So the lack of depth scoring when you look at the third line, and especially the fourth in Connor Dewar, David Kampf, and Ryan Reeves. Now, the biggest thing, Connor Dewar, I thought this was an awesome signing. I love getting him back. He's a spark plug, and he's going to be an energy guy. But the biggest problem with this is Ryan Reeves, who was just named the top enforcer in the NHL, being center by David Kampf, it almost feels like there's absolutely no offense coming from this line. Like I said, love these guys, but working together, it doesn't seem like it works great. This is where I think moving on from a guy like David Kampf, maybe you could slide Pontus Holmberg down to the fourth line center role. Maybe Kalle Järnkrok moves down and tries the center position on this fourth line, but I'm not totally in love with the bottom six of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I do think they need to add more depth scoring, and it kind of gets into the defense as well. Now, obviously, you can see with these pictures, the ones that don't show their jersey numbers are the recently added. If you quickly look at the forwards, there's not a single one of these, as they didn't add any new forwards. But looking at the defense, Morgan Rielly, Chris Tanev, I'm in love with this pairing. I know a lot of people are giving hate to Morgan Rielly, but this pairing is going to work. We've seen Morgan Rielly have some of the best years of his career playing with shutdown defensemen. Luke Schenn being the most notable recently, having an even more elite shutdown guy in Chris Tanev coming in, anchoring down the right side, being the best right-handed defenseman I can remember for quite some time with the Toronto Maple Leafs. This pairing is going to be incredible. OEL and Timothy Liljegren, I do like this line as well. Maybe sliding Jake McCabe up here might make it a bit better. But OEL is the exact piece we need. I know people aren't happy about this signing. I know people are saying it's too long, too much, whatever it might be. OEL is what they need. OEL is a guy that came in and is going to be an anchor on the power play. He's going to be a guy helping clear the zone. And then looking at the third pairing of Benoit, and this is where I would put Timothy Liljegren with him. We've seen this work, and I think it's going to work well. So looking at the defense, I don't see any issues with it at all. Now, it obviously gets into the question of what is happening with Nick Robertson. The first move I expect the Toronto Maple Leafs to do is either re-sign Nick Robertson or trade him before camp. We've seen Nick Robertson in 56 games, 14 goals, 13 assists for 27 points, 96 shots, 18 giveaways, 28 takeaways, plus 4, playing under 12 minutes time on ice. Nick Robertson in a middle six role is exactly what the Leafs need. A guy that can come in, score for them, put up points on this third line, where you could slide him in a Pontus Holmberg role. But I do expect a trade to come, and I think this is where they're going to fill out that spot. Maybe picking up a veteran winger that can score on a rebuilding team. And we've seen the Montreal Canadiens go and pick up Patrick Laine for a just prospect and getting back a second. So maybe the Leafs are looking at a guy, maybe in the West, maybe on the Anaheim Ducks, who really knows. They could be looking at a scoring winger to really fill out this third line. The second guy that I think might be traded, and honestly I think would be the best just for him and for the team, is maybe looking for a trade for David Kampf. David Kampf is a guy that can fill out a third line on a lot of teams, but he doesn't bring a lot of scoring. He hasn't really fit in the Leafs system. Maybe Craig Berube comes in and makes him an elite player, But right now, having him on the fourth line is a little scary as there is absolutely no offense coming from this third line or fourth line. I hope I bite my own words and I hope Ryan Reeves scores 20. But what's your guys' thoughts on this? Who do you want moved? Is it a guy like David Kemp? If it's a guy like Nick Robertson, or obviously where everyone's going to talk about Mitch Marner, but I think Mitch is safe and I think he's going to have a great year under a Berube's system. But what's your guys' thoughts on this? Let us know down in the comments. And speaking of comments, we'll get in everyone's favorite topic, which is comment of the day. Comment today comes from Official Nickel. He says, keep up the great work. Go Leafs, go. Shout out to you. And if you guys want to go down and leave a comment, you could be featured on the next episode of Comments of the Day. While you're down there, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. Make sure to check out Vume. I want to once again give them a huge shout out for sponsoring this video. The link for the product will be in the description and in the pinned comment, so make sure to check that out. But I've been your host, Mark Pye, and take care.